Hello, third grade, and welcome to lesson 2 of chapter 4. This lesson is going to focus on what makes a community grow. So in this lesson, you're going to use your investigative skills to find out what makes a community grow. Reading and talking about the growth of communities will help you understand the reasons why communities grow and change over time. In our blue bars, we're going to look at the graph. What does it show? Circle the year when Michigan's population was almost 3 million. Put a box around the following: the point on the graph showing the population in 1920, and also put a box around the point on the graph that shows the population in 1950. So you're going to circle certain things and you're going to put a box around certain things. Now remember, this is telling you what your graph is about, the title. The sides and the bottom give you information. So the left side will give you the scale that you're using, what you're measuring, the total population, and the units that you're measuring it in is in millions. And in the bottom, it tells us what the categories are. So we're talking about years. We have 1900, 1910, all the way up until 1950. And we're tracking the population changes in Michigan during that time. Look at the points for 1900 and 1950. What happened to the Michigan's population during this time? Did more people live in Michigan in 1940 than in 1910? How do you know? And you can use the lines here to help you fill in your answers. Moving into Michigan. Why did Michigan's population more than double between 1900 and 1950? The most important reason is the car industry. During the late 1800s, Michigan had a successful lumber industry. In order to move the large logs, workers needed strong wagons pulled by horses. There were many companies in Michigan that were built in the early 1900s. Demand began for a new type of vehicle, the car. Michigan's wagon companies were ready to build them. By 1940, more than half of the world's cars were built in Detroit, Michigan. Almost every car company had a factory there. People came from all over the country to find work in the automobile industry. As the population grew, there were needs for other kinds of jobs too. For example, a growing city needs teachers, firefighters, grocers, and carpenters. Another reason Michigan's population increased was the Great Migration. During the first half of the 1900s, millions of African Americans left the South. They moved to get away from segregation, the practice of keeping people of different races separate. They also hoped to find better jobs. Many people came to Detroit for work. Between 1910 and 1920, Detroit's African American population grew 6 times larger. How to read a line graph. To read a line graph, look at the graph's title and the labels. They tell you what the graph is about. The points or dots on the line show the information for each year. Trace the line connecting the points to see the changes over time. On this graph, the line goes up. This means the population has grown. Some parts of the line are steeper than others. When the line is steeper, it shows the change in population was greater. Explore main idea and details. So we've worked a lot with main idea and details. So we're going to look at what the main idea is in the topic that we read today, and we're going to come up with 3 details that support that main idea. So the main thing that we talked about on those 2 previous pages was that people came to Michigan for many different reasons. One of them, we said, was to escape segregation. One of them was to work in the car industry. And another one was to find any other kind of work, because as those communities were growing, they needed more people to fill other jobs. Next, we're going to look at pages 154 to 161 in our textbook. And we're going to use our skills to look for a main idea and find 5 related key details. Now, you may come up with a different main idea than the one that I talked you through, and that's totally fine. Just pick one and find 5 details that are related to it. What makes a community grow? Why people move to new places? Have you or a friend ever moved from one place to another? There are many reasons why people move. Some people move to find a better job. Others may choose to move to a place because of the weather. They want to live somewhere with a nice climate. Still, others moved to be closer to their friends and families or to get away from a bad situation. Other people may need to find a new home after a natural disaster, such as an earthquake or a shortage of water called a drought. Read on to learn about why people have migrated to specific communities over the years. So for my main idea, what I can say is that communities grow and change for a lot of different reasons. Now I'm going to work to find some supporting details. In the past, people migrated to new places for many reasons. Some communities formed near water. Other communities were built in the Midwest where soil was good for growing crops and raising animals. Ranchers built communities farther west. The land was wide open, and few people lived there. Large herds of cattle and other livestock could roam for miles as they grazed. Some people traveled to the mountains looking for gold and other precious minerals. The discovery of oil deep underground brought people to new places as well. Did you know? In 1877, large amounts of copper were found near the Mule Mountains of Arizona. The discovery brought hundreds of miners that were hoping to get rich. The town of Bisbee quickly grew. In the 1970s, after nearly 100 years of mining, copper became much harder to find. Today, Bisbee is a modern community. Tourists can learn about the history of mining. The town is also home to many artists in recent years. Mining has even made a comeback. So one of the key details that I can put in was that a lot of people moved to Bisbee, Arizona to mine for copper. That can be my first supporting detail for my main idea. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, many people in America lost their jobs. Thousands of people moved to new parts of the country looking for work. Some of them found jobs working on farms. A decade later, in the 1940s, people took jobs building planes, tanks, and other goods during World War II. After the war, many stayed in the communities where they had jobs. Others moved to new places. They found work in growing industries. The aircraft, automobile, and technology industries offered many jobs. Today, many people still move to places that have the best jobs. Communities grow and change. Most communities begin as small settlements and grow slowly. A business opens in a community. More people will move to find jobs. As more people come to the community, new homes, stores, schools, and roads are built. The community becomes larger. So another reason that I can list in my graphic organizer about why communities grow and why people move to different places is that they move to find better job opportunities. Then and now, Seattle, Washington. Seattle is one community that has changed over time. It started as a small village with a lumber mill. During the late 1800s, Seattle grew quickly. Its location on the coast meant there were many jobs in fishing and shipping. Shipbuilding was an important industry. During World War I, about 1 out of every 5 ships used in the war was built in Seattle. Workers from all over the world came to find jobs there. Later, during World War II, a company making airplanes moved to Seattle. Thousands of people found work in the airline industry. Today, many technology and internet companies are located in Seattle. Rapid City, South Dakota is a town that has grown and changed over time. It is located near the Black Hills, a small mountain range rising from the surrounding plains. Originally, the Lakota lived in the land. The first white settlers arrived in 1876 after gold was discovered in the Black Hills. Rapid City was founded soon after. It was a small supply town for miners heading into the mountains. It was nicknamed the Gateway to the Black Hills. In the 1800s, railroads were built west across America. Rapid City's location made it a good stopping point along the way. This helped the city to grow. During the 1900s, people began traveling by car. The sculptor Gutzon Borglum chose Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills as the site of a large carving of presidents' faces. Gutzon's son, Lincoln Borglum, completed the work in 1941. Today, millions of people visit the monument each year. The biggest impact on Rapid City's population was the Ellsworth Air Force Base. It was built during World War II, and the city's population almost doubled in just a decade. So we can also list that people moved to places like Seattle to find work in many industries, such as the airplane industry. And we can list that people moved to Rapid City to be able to go to these schools and participate in the growth of the community there. Around the world, Dubai. Dubai's skyscrapers tower over the nearby water of the Persian Gulf. The bustling city in the United Arab Emirates is the largest in its nation. Dubai is also one of the world's wealthiest cities. It was not always like this, though. Dubai started as a coastal fishing village in the 1700s. In the late 1800s, an important decision was made by the emir, or leader of Dubai. He declared that the businesses would be able to operate there without paying taxes or money collected by the government. Traders from all over the region moved to Dubai. The city's population doubled, but it still remained a small city. In the 1960s, Dubai began thriving when oil was discovered. Selling oil made many of Dubai's citizens wealthy. They had money to spend on goods and services. The city grew rapidly, and people and businesses came from all over the world. New buildings and roads were built to meet the needs of the growing population. One reason Dubai could grow so quickly was its location. The city could easily expand across the land in the empty desert surrounding it. Dubai is also on the coast. The materials needed for building could be shipped there easily. In the 1980s, oil became harder to find. The leaders of Dubai decided to keep its economy strong by making Dubai a tourist destination. Interesting attractions were made, such as indoor ski slopes and underwater hotels. During the 2000s, the Burj Khalifa was constructed. It is the tallest building on Earth. Visitors flocked to the city. Many of them decided to stay. Today, nearly all of Dubai's residents arrive from other countries. So another thing I can list in my graphic organizer was that people moved to Dubai because they could open their businesses and not have to pay taxes there. So they were able to save more of their money. Let's go ahead and take a look at our last 2 pages of this lesson for our writing section. What do you think is the main reason people move to new places? Explain your choice. So you can pick anything and give reasons why you think that is one of the main reasons that would lead people to move to new places. You can pick anything like work, school, safety, better opportunities, maybe a nicer climate, whatever it is that you think, and give reasons to support it. And then where it says connect to the essential question, pull it together. What are some ways that a community has changed over time? What causes communities to change over time? And how does that impact the present? So take a look at some of the communities that we just read about. You can use any one of them as examples. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.